The following has been paid for by nobody.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Men Behind the Curtain, the podcast about everything and nothing all at once. I am Pitt.
I'm Eli. How's it going, y'all?
And here we are once again. You guys need a kicker.
I didn't really pay it. Oh, I saw the score at like the third quarter. I was done. I stopped paying attention because I saw what I needed to see. Don't give a fuck. Fuck it. Like they're still my guys.
Going for draft picks, which I don't even think you have any, but that's besides the point. Anyway, if you happen to see last week's episode, it's going to be a little bit similar to that this time. We are going to bring in a special guest. This man is known as the Carolina Storyteller. He is also the author of Valmont, the Black Raven Chronicles. We'd like to welcome to Men Behind the Curtain, Jonathan Phoenix. Hey, John, how you doing?
Doing great, man. How you guys doing?
Doing good. Glad you can make it and be here with us.
I'm happy to be here. You were giving somebody like this great, awesome intro. I'm just trying to figure out who the great guy you were talking about was.
I was talking about Pittsburgh. So that was
okay, cool. Okay, yeah. All right. All right, because you were like, Carolina Story. Cool.
But also, I think I've mentioned this before, but I know that you're published. You do have a couple of books. Through the Fire and Redcoats, I believe it was.
Yeah, Through the Flames and Redcoats. Through the Flames is actually going to be the title of the series. The book is going to be retitled when it's re-released. It's actually been pulled from shelves as Through the Flames, and it'll be re-released as Through the Flames, The Arsonist. And then the series, which book 2 is 90% done, and I've got an outline for book 3. The series will follow this family of firefighters for a while.
So you're going Star Wars on it then, where as far as the titling is concerned.
Yeah, I decided to go Star Wars with
it. That works.
All right, so you've seen the podcast and everything like that. You know about catastrophe. We'll get that to a little bit, but I do have a question. We haven't noticed because I work on Valmont as one of the voice characters and everything like that. I have seen the Carolina Storyteller podcast, and I've been a member. I've been a guest on your podcast. So has Eli. My question to you, and we're going to go way back, is what actually got you interested and started on this supernatural aspect of pretty much everything that you wrap your career around?
All right, so you have to go way back to this. And when I'm talking about way back, go ahead and go to your podcast settings, look up The Carolina Storyteller, go to episode 4, The Graveyard, because this is really where everything started. It was me, my best friend Frankie, his brother Alex, who we just lost recently, and their cousin Aaron. Were all taken to a graveyard by Frankie's father for a midnight grave run. And in the middle of that, we encountered something that we couldn't explain, and everybody kind of had a different reaction. My reaction was I was pissed the hell off because I thought somebody was pranking me. And I decided I was going back into the graveyard, and nobody was stopping me. And they all quit trying to stop me when something screamed out of the graveyard. And immediately I realized 2 things. One, something screamed out of the graveyard, and that meant that there was something in there. And 2, I was alone because everybody hauled ass running down the road. And that is really where it started. I grew up in Georgetown, South Carolina, and it is just filled with history and ghosts. The house that I lived in had a ghost story. The house that Frankie lived in has a ghost story. I had a friend who had a house down the street. His house had a ghost story. There was a ghost story in the house directly behind mine that's very famous. It is the story of Theodosia Burr, Aaron Burr's daughter, who just poof vanished, but her ghost still like dances in the house behind mine, and her dogs can be heard at night. And believe it or not, I've heard the dogs. Still confused on that because it turns out the people that lived there did not own dogs.
Wow.
Well, just real quick, just for everybody. For those of you who are listening to this on audio only, you're going to have to just look this up. But for those of you who are watching via video, this is what he's talking about. So you can see there's 71 episodes. I have listened to some of this. I'm still pretty early on. I have listened to that particular episode, though. Where did I leave off? So, oh, yeah, I'm only up to episode 8, Lizard Man. But so, yeah, that episode 4... I've listened to that one.
You know, Lizard Man's going to kick everybody's ass when it comes to the Battle of the Cryptids. I'm sorry, man. You're on the losing end of things here.
I already lost.
This week we're going to see, because it's Lizard Man versus the Plat Eye. Mm-hmm. That's who won. That's who won last week, the Plat Eye. So this coming week, I've got a couple of special guests and everything. And no, I'm sorry. Not Deer took the Plat Eye.
I thought so, because the thing about the Plat Eye is
I had it backwards.
Yeah, because the thing about the Plat Eye is that their quote unquote weapons work on people, but not the Not Deer. So I think that was why the Not Deer won.
Yeah, I had it backwards. The Not Deer tanked the Plat Eye, and so it's going to be Not Deer versus Lizard Man, and I think that's going to be the South Carolina version of Godzilla versus Kong. It's going to be awesome.
That one, I would say, is probably going to come down to whoever's got more home turf.
See, what I think is actually going to happen is I think the two of them are going to go at it, and all of a sudden, Skinwalker, which actually gets a tiny little snippet of South Carolina, and it's mostly North Carolina, Tennessee, and Kentucky, is going to pop his head, and they're going to tag team the Skinwalker, and then kind of peacefully walk away from one another. I mean, I don't know what's going to happen. Because the panel is going to decide it. But, Jackie is going to be on the panel. Jackie is from Appalachia. It is highly likely that the Skinwalker could step in and try to take out the Not Deer in the middle of the whole thing.
So the Skinwalker is going to play the part of Mecha Godzilla.
Exactly. And the Not Deer and the Lizard Man are just going to fuck that Skinwalker up.
Well, then
excuse my language.
I will send one of the cryptids from my neck of the woods growing up to take the place of Mothra, and I will send you Mothman.
There we go. That helps.
Yeah,
we've got the full movie.
I think we talked about that a few episodes ago, because you mentioned a Mothman, and I brought up the Mothman prophecies and everything. I think we talked about that.
Yeah. No, I roundabout areas where I grew up, it's roughly about maybe an hour and 10-minute drive from me, but it was definitely in the area. The thing I really did love about the movie is they actually filmed the movie in that general area of where Mothman is supposed to be hanging out. I've not come across him, and if I had real wood, I would knock on it, because I got this fake particle shit around me. So, but all right,
so it's usually made of wood.
So we're talking about ghost stories. Do you have a particular ghost story, whether it's in the past or recent, or one that you might be featuring within some near future that you would like to delve into?
So there is an incident that occurred a few years back. I don't think I've done an episode on it yet. I keep saying I'm going to do the episode on it, and I haven't. But I had a friend of mine. They bought this house. Very old house. It was used by the Masons at some point in time, and it was a Masonic temple, and then it became a funeral home, and it was several other things, and it was a old log cabin that people had just kind of tried to update, and it was kind of falling apart. And they began to have instances happen, and they knew that I had a history in dealing with the paranormal and stuff like that, and they were like, hey, Crystal deals with it. You deal with it. Will you come take a look? And I'm like, I ain't done any of that stuff in years. So like, well, come take a look. This is really interesting. And she starts telling me things that happen. And she's like, well, one time my son comes running out of the room, and we look back, and there's a boy standing in his bed, but we can see the feet under the bed and the rest of the boy on top of the bed, but not like the middle of the boy. Right. And he just kind of turns around and walks off. And when they go to look for it, they can't find the boy. And I'm like, okay, this is getting creepy. And they're like, and doors will close and then we can't get doors open. Like it'll lock kids in the bathroom or it'll lock us in the bathroom. And then all of a sudden the kids are screaming that something is weird's going on. And I'm like, okay, I'll go with you. I'll go check. And so they took off in her car. I had this big Chevy Tahoe at the time. Huge, monstrous 90s model Tahoe. So you know how big those things are. And so I come rolling up with the Tahoe, and they're taking pictures of everything outside as we get there because they're hoping to get some kind of weird spirit photography thing going. And they take a picture of me as I am getting out of the Chevy Tahoe. And they get a couple of me as I'm walking towards them. And, you know, they're snapping pictures. They don't know anything of it with a digital camera at the time. We go in, we go through the house, look around, see if we can figure out anything that could be causing these disturbances, try to debunk some things, see where, you know, certain things are happening. She hands me some paperwork on the place. I look over the paperwork that's on it and immediately go, okay, this is a Masonic temple. And this funeral home serviced a lot of children's deaths in the time. It even says right here, this is probably where you're having these issues. You're in a fucking old funeral home. Come on. Maybe it's time to pack up and get out. I know you got this place on the cheap, but it doesn't sound like it's worth it. And so, you know, we get done. We're there maybe half an hour. We get done. I get back in my truck. I drive off. Crystal and her and another girl they had rode together. So they were riding back to the house, which it's half a mile away where we lived. It was not very far. I get to the house. I get inside. I go to sit down to start up a video game, and the phone starts blowing up. And Crystal's like, you have to come outside. You have to see this. You have to see this. You have to see this now. And I come outside, and they're messing with the camera, and all of a sudden they're yelling at the camera. Whatever they wanted to show me had been completely deleted. So I could only go off of what I was told. But what I was told was that from the moment I stepped out of the truck, because they took a picture of me pulling up, they took a picture of me opening the door and stepping out of the truck. And as soon as I was closing the truck door, there was a dark, shadowy figure right over my left shoulder, about 6-7 foot tall. And that sucker followed me as I was walking up, and then it was gone.
Yeah, that's when I break out some sage and a feather, maybe get a young priest and an old priest and shit that I don't need. So,
which reminds me, I did want to point out, I've mentioned this book before on our podcast. I told you about how I got it. So just for anybody watching / listening, so I did pick up this book, Dayton Ghosts. This is about places here in our area that are allegedly haunted. So I was actually talking to Jonathan. I may show up on his podcast telling a story or two out of here. I may show up more than once. You know, I don't know, but I know
I believe Max Tavern is in that in Centerville, because I have a friend that lives Eastern Ohio that she'll come out here to Southwest Ohio on occasion because they do all sorts of paranormal. What's the word I'm looking for? Investigation out at Max Tavern and stuff like that.
I don't see one for Max Tavern.
Well, that book is false then.
There's more than one, so I'm actually going to pick up another one. It does mention that restaurant, the Amber Rose. So,
well, Amber Rose, does it mention the one that's in Yellow Springs?
I don't see Yellow Springs. However, it could still be in here because I mean, not every chapter is the.
Did you pick up the fucking Cliff's Notes version of it?
I've read this some years ago and I forgot most of it.
Cliff's Notes version.
But yeah. Yeah, so I'll probably swing by the podcast sometime and tell a story or two.
Yeah, since we're talking about stories,
we'll be dropping a few of those.
Yeah, since we're talking about stories, let's talk about the story that has us really all pumped. Just dropped the very first episode of Valmont and Black Raven Chronicles this past Sunday. Awesome show, awesome work by the entire cast and crew. And I am not saying that just because I'm on it. It was absolutely fucking phenomenal. My children listened to it. They absolutely loved it. So let's talk about Valmont. how did this come about? How did this idea get born? And some of us know the story behind it, a little bit of the details, but you're the man. You had the vision, you had this creation, and now you're all of a sudden able to bring that to life. I mean, first off, how does that make you feel?
So before I say how it makes me feel, let me explain why it makes me feel that way. Afraid Valmont was born in 2003.
Wow.
I was online playing on a role-playing server as a vampire, and my vampire's name was Afraid Valmont, and he was an asshole. He ran a investigations firm, and he basically his introduction to the court is he walked up to the king, looked at the king's right-hand man, beat the hell out of the right-hand man, and said, obviously he's not good enough for you. I want his job. And the king kind of looked at him funny and was like, what do you mean? He said, look, everybody's going to try to kill you. Nobody tries to kill the second in command. So I'll take his job and I'll keep you alive. And he got the right-hand man's job. And that was how Afraid started out 20 some odd years ago. And I kept saying I was going to write a story for him. And he evolved as a character. There were short stories that we'd write in the dealing with the character. Like, okay, this is what Afraid's doing on his off time. This is his short story. And there were a couple of them. There was The Hitchhiker, which is one I always share, which is when Afraid is coming back into town after he's gone and dealt with something that's basically supercharged him. He's driving back into town, and there is a man broke down on the side of the road who's hitchhiking. Afraid picks up the hitchhiker. The two of them start driving. The news radio comes on and starts talking about a serial killer on the highway that is killing people. And in the story, I don't paint it out that Afraid is the one driving until the very end. So you think that this hitchhiker is the victim and the driver because the car's blacked out. The only thing you see is a little bit of red light and the driver's cigarette kind of glow as he huffs and puffs. And as they're driving along, all of a sudden, I kind of pull out of the inside of the car, and there's a bright flash as a gun goes off. And the truck swerves and then pulls off to the side of the road. And the passenger door opens, and the guy gets out laughing his head off. If only you were quicker, you might have stopped me. And he goes to open the driver's side door, and there's nobody there. And the second he turns around, Afraid standing there unharmed. And he's like, I knew you were out here. And I was waiting for you to get in my truck. Now burn. And he snaps his fingers, and the guy bursts into flames, which that comes into play much later in the series. Don't worry about it. It has something to do with Agent Black. That's all I'm going to say. It has something to do with Agent Black. But nobody really knows what's going to happen.
Spoilers.
Yes, and at some point in time, Afraid could snap his fingers and set people on fire. Not now, though. He's not there yet. But he does have an ultimate form that's already been determined, kind of like the Super Saiyan God Goku. Yeah, he would drown Super Saiyan God Goku. Sorry, Goku.
Hey, the Goku is one of those I have found just in my time on the internet. If I ever want to just rage farm and piss people off, Goku, Batman, probably Superman too. Like those are some easy targets if I ever just want to piss somebody off for fun.
So the Superman fandom does have their limits with Superman, but generally, if you say, "Look, this guy could take Superman," they're just going to brush you off until you go too far with it. The Batman fandom, Batman can beat anybody with prep time. It doesn't matter. He has the superpower of prep time. And so the answer to that is well, he's not going to get prep time.
Sorry, go ahead.
I was gonna say, and then Son Goku. Son Goku could apparently beat everybody. So anytime you go to that fandom and say, well, this person could beat Son Goku, even if you're legitimately correct, i.e., Monkey D. Luffy, they're going to say, no, there's no way.
Well, one
By the
video
way, your comment section is going to be just rage filled now.
Good.
Hey,
I fucking make them rage.
I honestly, I enjoy pissing people off. It's fun. But no, I had a video. It was about a year old. I got on TikTok and I'm just like, you know what? I said, Sam and Dean Winchester would fucking body Batman. And I pissed people off with that. But I'm like, here's the thing. Sam and Dean is quite literally God's favorite characters. There is not thicker plot armor than that. So I'm like, y'all can get as mad as you want, but I'm right. So that was fun. I pissed a lot of people off with that. But so yeah, circling back though, so that's new information for me as far as like how far Valmont will go as far as his development. So I'm I'm anxious to see that. I'm eager to see that.
Well, I mean, there are very few people who know, understand that I've been working on Valmont for 20 years. So there are certain things to Valmont's history that have never changed. The first being his lineage. And as we find out, his lineage is definitely different. He's not built the same. He's not like us. And we're going to find out more about that. Episode 2 is where we're going to start digging into that. But let's not forget that at the beginning of episode 1, Gabriel and Lucifer are trying to figure out who his parents are. That they even state in the beginning that his parents were somebody who gave up all of their divine power to live a mortal life and have a family and a child, and they were robbed of that in some way in Bosnia. This is what happens in the opening scenes. This is what leads us into the show. And so we're going to get into all that, and there'll be some interesting moments in the coming season and in the seasons that will follow. Trust me.
Yeah, it took me the very first time that I read the script for it, I didn't really clock the importance behind that opening scene. It took a couple of reads and I was like, oh, wait a minute. So that was interesting.
But see, that's the reason that it's written that way, is because I don't, as much as I'm here talking about it now, I really don't want people to clock it right off the way. I want it to occur to them a little bit later when they're getting down the road and stuff starts going and going, oh. See, I want that surprise for people.
I actually really enjoy stories like that, where it has, like for TV shows like rewatch value, or a really good example of that would be The Sixth Sense, because when you know how The Sixth Sense ends and you go back and watch the movie over again, you start picking up on all kinds of shit that makes so much more sense now. So I love stories like that, to where there's worth in going back and starting all over.
It's how I wanted to write the story of Valmont, because when you come into it new with fresh eyes and you don't know anything, which a lot of the cast is, I've tried to keep you in the dark as much as possible, only revealing what you get when the next episode script comes out. So now everybody knows what's going to happen this season. They've seen that because they've read through episode 12 already, even though we're only working on episode 2 coming out next month. We've already got scripts written into season 2 now. So the cast knows, but y'all didn't find out until I dropped the script and I said, okay, here's this script now. And then everybody's like, and the reason I wrote it like that is because I think it's better when you watch a show and you get that reveal, and then you go back watching it knowing with that reveal in there, and it's a different experience.
Yeah. One of my favorites about that in recent memory, just to slightly change topics a little bit. One of my favorite examples is that was Netflix's The Fall of the House of Usher. Because have you watched that?
Yes.
So
Oh yes,
there
and
are
they did so beautiful with that.
yeah. So
I
in the
loved it.
opening, in the first episode, like you see dude in the jester suit. Like, what the fuck
Mhm.
is this? They don't explain the jester suit until like the second to last episode. By then, I totally forgot about him being in the first episode. So I see that, then I restart the show, and I'm the fucking Leonardo DiCaprio meme. Just
No, I agree with you. Okay, well, I still got the other one. So, can you guys hear me?
Yeah,
yeah,
you're good.
it's a little different, but I
Right.
can still hear you.
Yeah, like the first watch through, I'm seeing this, especially like when you get to the scene where she's in the club.
You're a little low. You go ahead and try to find it real quick.
Give me a second. Ah, there it goes. Let me put that back in. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
I would say we can
I'm the
edit that out,
Verizon
but-
guy.
I would say we can edit that out, but honestly, I think Jackie will enjoy laughing at it.
No, it's staying in there.
Yeah, let
It's
Jackie
staying in.
have it. Let Jackie have the laugh. But yeah, rewatching that after the first time, even with that kill in the club, where she's walking up to the people and you don't understand really what's going on, but then when you go back and you rewatch that episode, knowing what's going on, and you're just like, oh. And if you know anything about the fall of the House of Usher and the Mask of the Red Death and all of these stories that it was kind of based on, because this is basically based on Poe's work.
Yeah,
Edgar Allan Poe.
every episode. That show made me want to get Poe's complete works. And I have found a couple of books on Amazon. I just haven't picked it up yet.
I had them already.
Really?
Yeah. I have like 4 copies.
Oh shit.
Like, and if you do know Poe's complete works, watching it the first time, you picked up on, oh, they're doing like the Fall of House of Usher. It's the title of one of his books. So I mean, it's one of his stories. So you knew Edgar Allan Poe was involved. So you were picking up and looking for these things. But even watching the show, even knowing going in as a Poe fan, rewatching it, you're just like,
no,
I want that feel for Valmont.
The one I felt really, really dumb about was it took me until the very last episode. I never clocked his granddaughter being named Lenore. It went right over my head until the end of the show, and then it fucking smacked me right in the face, and I'm like, how did I not see this coming?
I didn't catch it. Crystal did. I'm watching the show and he mentions her name. And like, I'm so busy with all the other things that have been going on. My brain has already gone fried. It's just like, hey, isn't Lenore the same name as the girl? I'm like,
God damn.
Oh, those son of them.
But probably one of my favorite individual episodes, and I think is probably one of the best adaptations, was The Telltale Heart. I fucking loved their depiction in that show.
But these guys, that show is not the first one they did. They've done on Netflix.
Sorry.
I'm sorry. I was gonna say they've done on Netflix for the past like 4 years now. They've had a big this is our big Halloween episode. And it's the same creator, the same group of writers, the same director, just a different cast. Midnight Mass was a great one that they did.
That was a slow burn.
I can't remember. I can't remember if it's The Haunting of Hill House or what the name of it was.
Hill House and Bly Manor.
Bly Manor was knock your socks off good. I loved Bly Manor. And it's writers like that inspire me.
Did you know that Mike Flanagan is getting an Exorcist reboot? Under any other circumstance, when I heard Exorcist reboot, nah, I'm good. Then I heard Mike Flanagan. I'm like, okay.
I
But-
don't think it's going to work, and and here's why. The Exorcist came out, and The Exorcist, if you do not know, and we go over this in the Carolina Storyteller, The Exorcist is based on an actual, very, very real case that occurred in Washington, D.C. in 1949. It is called the Roland Dahl case. Of course, Roland Dahl is not his real name. His real name is Herschel or something like that. And the young man admits that he did go through these things, and then he went on to live a very happy life. And just so you know, Roland Dahl actually went to work for NASA and was responsible for developing the technologies that made it possible for astronauts to come back to Earth alive. So whatever the Jesuit priests did to clear him of that evil saved a lot of lives. And the most intriguing story about him is that when he died, a Jesuit priest from I think it's Cincinnati, wherever they took him to get taken care of, the day he died, within 15 minutes of him taking his last breath, this random Jesuit priest shows up and says, "I'm here to do last rites for him." Like, the guy knew it was coming. Nobody called him. Nobody sent a message. He just freaking showed up, knowing that he needed to do last rites for him. And, it's kind of, there's so many wild things to that case. And that case became a book, which became the movie The Exorcist in the middle of the 1970s. And you had all this stuff coming out about the Conjuring hauntings. I can't remember whatever that family was. You had the Amityville issues. You had Ed and Lorraine Warren screaming everything was a demon. So you had a culture that was ready and primed for that movie. And that movie was done to such an extreme that when it was originally released, it received an X rating.
I think I heard about that.
I mean, that's just it. Like, they went balls to the wall all out with that. Now, by today's standard, it's PG-13. Let's be real. It's a great movie, but it's a PG-13 horror movie. There's not a whole lot of slashing and gore and guts and cursing. I mean, there is the whole crucifix scene. Not in the theatrical release. In the extended cut, yes, but the extended cut also has the masturbation with a crucifix, which definitely would take it to the NC-17 scene side. But the cut that they would release in theaters, if they made the same movie today with new actors and new technology and everything, I don't think, even if the best directors got out there and did it with the most high tech and the greatest actors and all of this, I don't think they can recapture that magic, because 90% of that was the culture of the era.
That's fair. The only thing that I would say about that is that if I was in that business, in that industry, and I got a call to be a part of that, I would pass. And the reason that I would pass is because of how many people died making the original movie. Now, it might have been a coincidence, but you know what? I'm not touching it.
Look,
I did an episode on cursed movies, and it is one of the top 5. You won't believe what number 1 is.
Wizard of Oz.
Nope.
I mean, I don't know.
I'll give you a hint. It's a passionate film. I mean, Jesus Christ, fellas.
I was about to say that, I didn't clock that at first, but yeah.
Wasn't Henry Cavill, wasn't he struck by lightning by not?
It wasn't Henry Cavill. It was Caviezel.
Jim Caviezel. That's it. Yes, like struck by lightning 3 times or something like that. And
he was struck by lightning. He got sick. He was injured. There were injuries on set. Basically, he suffered like if ever there was a message from God saying quit doing this shit, he was sent the message multiple times and ignored it. He kept sending the call to voicemail.
It gives a completely different meaning to the line, let Jesus fuck you.
Like, but he says that the movie changed his life. Filming the movie, going through all that, it changed his life because he was able to survive it. And of course, he walks around thinking that he's part Jesus now. So
yeah, he's
Woo!
very devout in a particular religious sect.
Yeah,
and he worships himself too.
Well, I mean, he is a good-looking guy. I mean, I'll give him that. I mean,
I know now he's like a fucking hardline right winger, but that's another rabbit hole.
Yes, it is. But I mean, Person of Interest was actually a really good show that he was in, with Michael Emerson.
Yes, it was.
So, but I digress.
But yeah, curses with movies, Exorcist is in the top 5.
Yeah, so for that reason, again, it's Mike Flanagan. I will give it a chance. But if I was the actual, if I was on set, I don't give a fuck if I was getting the coffee. I'm not taking that job. I will not enter that studio. Like, nope. I'll see it when it's done. I want no part of this shit.
But Eli, we're going to give you $20,000 a day just to bring us coffee.
I will DoorDash it.
All right, John, we're going to ask you to
I'm not showing up to that script.
We're going to ask you to play a little game with us. We're going to do the Cat's Astrophe. So, as you have seen before.
All right. I've been looking forward to this. Yes.
Some randomness from the cat's ass. All right. So, we'll go with our very first one.
And by the way, these are 100% blind. Me and him do not see these beforehand.
Yeah. You can go back to one episode where I get fucking pranked on one because apparently Mike Coochie's is hairy. So, but anyway.
Yeah. So, who fills these up for you guys? Who puts the stuff in the cat's ass?
My wife actually comes up with them or takes suggestions or finds them, whatever, and writes them out and sticks them inside the cat's ass. And the cat's ass.
That's awesome.
The cat's ass actually has a prostate to it. There's a little bump on the inside that you got to work around to get to them. So, all right, first one.
Okay.
There's aliens in the ocean. What do you want them to know or want them to do?
I want them to take me off this ghetto ass fucking rock.
Like, at this point, get the hell out of the ocean and take over the freaking land. We're done. Okay, just get out here and fix shit. Bring your alien technology that's allowing you to live hundreds of thousands of feet beneath the freaking ocean, where the pressure should be crushing you like grapes. Bring that technology up here and fix shit. Please, like, whatever you want us to do. Like, I'm willing to take an anal probe if it's gonna fix some things. Like get my grocery prices down. I'm willing to discuss this. Okay.
Honestly, Jackie may be willing to have a conversation with you.
No. Jackie is not going to be. Jackie cannot fix the entire world.
Other than going with what John said,
she's going to be like, "What do you mean I can't fix the entire world?"
I mean, going with what John said, I just was like, "Hey, fix it." This is what I want you to do. But I'm more inclined to ask him, like, why? Why did you fucking come here?
So actually, the one story I heard about this is that allegedly, I don't know where the fuck they get this information from, but supposedly they have been here longer than we have. And I literally just remembered this. There's a theory that I heard a while back, and it's a very interesting theory, is that Earth is actually a prison planet. And Adam and Eve's exodus from the Garden of Eden was actually the story that we were told, but that was them being sent to Earth as their punishment. So if we run with this, that could mean the aliens are the wardens.
Can I get a lighter sentence somewhere else? I'm just asking. I feel like I deserve like to get off on good behavior. Like, I mean, I understand they took Elvis early. Can they take me?
I've been mostly a good person.
Call the governor. Call Senator Kinsey. All right. Speaking of anal
Senator
probes,
Kinsey's going to help you.
Speaking of anal probes, I got to get my hand out of that cat's ass. Number 2. It's upside down. Are you more impatient now than you were before smartphones?
Oh, absolutely. I am of the opinion that the internet and ease of access and everything has largely eroded our sense of patience. A lot of us are about instant gratification, and you see that a lot in the way that we consume TV and movies. People want the binge model on TV, and then they binge all 8 episodes, and now they want season 2 right fucking now. And it's like, calm the fuck down.
No, I want more than 8 fucking episodes. I don't care when it comes out. Just give me more than 8 fucking episodes.
At least 16.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm going to actually say I'm the opposite of that. Now, when it comes to technology, if I have used a technology that does something at a certain rate of speed, and then I pick up a similar form of that technology, and it does not perform adequately, I have a very big problem with that. But in interacting with people and in waiting for shows to come out or waiting for movies, I'm okay with it. I'm like, I can look at it and I can have that anticipation and I can be patient. I waited for years for Deadpool and Wolverine. I mean, hell, I waited 20 years to see that yellow freaking suit on Hugh Jackman. Okay. And,
not only that, we also got the brown and gold, which is my favorite look. It was one shot.
We got the brown and gold. It was one shot, but it was a damn good shot. We also got Age of Apocalypse, Weapon X.
Yes.
With the one hand. And I mean, like, I'm just saying, he looked totally 80s metal, and he could have been on stage with Twisted Sister and it would have worked. But God love him, it was perfect.
Yeah.
It was absolutely perfect. Let's see.
I made this comment before when we did an episode like right after I saw Deadpool and Wolverine. Deadpool and Wolverine was an absolute love letter to just anybody who's been along this journey. Like, of course, the 90s show, ever since the very first movie in 2000, like those of us who have been there for the whole ride, that was just an ode for us as fans. And it was fucking beautiful. I loved it. But wait,
I feel like, huh?
Go ahead.
I feel like Deadpool and Wolverine did what Spider-Man No Way Home did for Spider-Man fans who needed that closure. Deadpool and Wolverine did that for everybody who ever watched a Fox movie. It gave us everything we wanted. We got a great ending for Blade. The only thing we were missing, and I'm going to say this right now, Ben Affleck, where the hell were you? Like that's the only thing that was missing. Affleck's Daredevil. That's it.
Charlie Cox is really fucking good, though.
I understand Charlie Cox is doing a great job with Daredevil right now, but this was the ode to, they brought Chris Evans in there and said, no, we're not going to do Captain America. We're going to bring Chris Evans back as Johnny Storm, but we're going to make him act like that guy from Loser and be as foul-mouthed as he can possibly be.
Yeah, he brings up an interesting point because the Wolverine shot we got where he was in the brown and the gold, he was actually going up against the Eric Bana Hulk.
And you see his reflection in the claws.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's what I mean, is it was the love letter and the closure that we needed for 20 years worth of movies where we were like, oh, I can't wait to see what's going to happen next. And then they just went, forget this. We're going to go do something else.
All right, round this one up. I'm more impatient. No, I've always been an impatient little cunt. So we'll leave it at that. So, all right.
All right. Well, that keeps it 0 episodes since anybody's been called a cunt. So
needed to do that. All right. Well, we've already spoke on part of this because we all want out of here and the aliens haven't taken us. But the ideal country to live in. And let's take this one step further. Let's not choose just a country, unless we want to just choose a country. But what would be the ideal country to live in?
Wakanda.
Okay. All right. Hear me out. Okay. It's got volcanoes all over the place. It's really cold. And the people talk funny.
Mordor.
But I'm going to say Iceland.
I mean,
first of all, Iceland is the only country where they officially recognize the Norse religion as its own church. Iceland believes in the faith so hardcore, and because they believe in the faith, they do things a certain way. They are more accepting of people and things like that. But they believe in the faith so hardcore that if they are planning to build a road, and they realize that road is going to enter Fey territory and possibly disrupt the Fey territory, they change the entire plan for that road to go around the Fey territory. They do not mess with the Fey there.
Wait. Isn't this the same group that I remember Jackie was editing an episode for you, like the Icelandic sex elves?
Yes.
Okay. So there is a bonus reason I want to go.
I can get behind Iceland as well. I'd take Iceland, Norway, Sweden. Any
Norway and Sweden don't have the elves.
No, they don't have the elves, but I'm sure I can get them shipped over.
Good point. They probably do go on Temu.
So I don't know if I want a Temu elf. That just might be it might be better than Wish. So
no, Wish elves are dangerous. Temu elves, they just take a little bit longer.
Well, yeah, no. If I can go to any of those countries, it's going to definitely be something that's within from my ancestors and my religious beliefs. So that's where we're going.
Yeah.
All right. So working around that prostate, and it's really in there. It's underneath it. There we go. We're gonna take out our last one. Oh shit, this looks long. And she's back there laughing at me.
I heard that.
Oh, time to run.
All right. If you could travel through time to witness any point of history, when would you visit?
Honestly, at this point, I might say the French Revolution, because I think we're on the precipice today, right now.
The thing is that we're going to witness history, not interact with it or anything. So I got to think, what's a moment I would really like to have lived through that I didn't get to? I honestly think if it was me and I had to pick one moment, I would want to be in the room when Lucille Ball basically told the entire management over at Paramount that they were going to make Gene Roddenberry's Crazy Story, and where she just owned them and basically greenlit Star Trek.
Yeah.
I would love to, because she's one of those people that, they don't think about it a lot, but Lucille Ball, had balls. She's married to Desi Arnaz. Desi Arnaz didn't make her happy, so she divorced Desi Arnaz. She gave advice to, she played this goofy character on TV, but as a person, she was very no nonsense, and she was very much about making sure you did what was right. I would love to have met Lucille Ball.
I can get behind that just because of the Star Trek, connection. I would go back and I would clobber the cunt J.K. Rowling across the fucking head. That way I can write all the fucking Harry Potter books.
Okay. I'm just saying, if you're gonna write the Harry Potter books, are you at least going to? Because I mean, Harry Potter, he grew up in the real world. Are you at least at some point going to have him go, Accio Glock, Yovaldi?
Well, in that case, you got to write him as an American.
Well, no, because if you wrote him as an American, it'd be like Accio Strap.
No, moment in history. I don't know. Honestly, there'd be a great deal of them. I just wanted to call J.K. Rowling a cunt again. So,
well, there's always time to call J.K. Rowling a cunt.
That is true. I do it every single day, probably.
I feel like that's just something everybody should at least do once a day.
I love how often she catches strays in our podcast.
So far she's the leading cunt. She is the cunt at the top of the list. So I don't know. I mean, crowning of Charlemagne. I mean, I like to go throughout history. I would actually like to go and see if they actually crucified a sand wizard to a T back in the year 33 AD or something like that. That's just me. But I'd also like to go
That's a good one too.
Yeah. But I mean, there are all sorts of moments in history I like to go back to just to witness, certain aspects of it. Like, Pompeii. Just to be like, oh shit, these people are fucked.
Oh, if I went back to Pompeii, I'd 100% do it like fucking Loki did.
Not Doctor Who.
I haven't watched Doctor Who, so I don't know what happened there.
Well, basically, Peter Capaldi in his first appearance on Doctor Who, not as a doctor, but as a character. Just go back and watch the fucking episode.
Yeah, I mean, come on. It's in season 4. It's the Doctor and Donna. Like, honestly, it's David Tennant at his best, I think. It's one of his best episodes.
One of the dogs just fucking farted, like, right by me.
I just thought of this one. I think I want to go all the way back and be right at the edge of Eden when Adam and Eve come out.
When Adam and Eve come out, or when Lilith is actually cast out of the garden.
You know what? I want to be there for that too. But here's the thing, okay? Because if you follow the timeline, that happened like 5,000 years ago. And I want to figure out what they say about the people that have been living here for 7,000 years already when they come out and be like, we're the first ones. Okay, who are these fuckers?
I would imagine it was the same experiences that Columbus had. I discovered this land. Bitch, I was already here.
All right, that concludes our catastrophe. Thanks for playing along, John. We actually do appreciate the input and your insights into the randomness of topics that we do have from time to time.
Yeah.
That was the whole reason I was here.
Well, that's why I saved it for last.
Yeah, because I was going to leave right when you're done. See you later, bye.
All right, I'm going to go ahead, Eli.
Oh no! Go ahead. I was about to just wing it, so go ahead.
No, I was going to give John an opportunity to plug anything else he might be working on, anything he's got coming up. Of course, as we know, Valmont, the Black Raven Chronicles, drops first of every month. You can get it early on Patreon if you support on Patreon, so definitely check that out. We'll put all the information below. But John, is there anything that you want to get out there, let people know what's coming up? Your podcast, formats, any books, any other stories, any other audio dramas that you might be in the works?
So there are audio dramas in the works, but I'm not dropping those yet. I'm not going to even give the slightest hint that there might be audio dramas or audio comedies that could be coming out. Definitely not something involving the Bureau of Anomalous Research and Defense. That would be similar to Scrubs. Definitely not working on something like that. Definitely not. What I would like to plug is you mentioned the Patreon, and understand, as a Valmont family supporter, you can get access to the Patreon for just $1 a month, and you can get that episode 15 days before everybody else. The Patreon members get the new episodes on the 15th, and then it is released worldwide on the 1st. So you've got 2 weeks ahead of everybody else to brag about what you know that they don't about Valmont. Just telling you guys. Also, Saturday, if you're on Facebook, you can check out the Carolina Storyteller, and you can catch our new live stream show. We're 3 episodes in. We hadn't named it until today. The vote went in. Corey suggested it, and I guess I'm announcing it here. It is called Legend Has It, and that streams every 2 weeks. And the Carolina Storyteller will be dropping a Christmas episode. This episode will be dedicated to my 2 brothers that I lost at Halloween and Thanksgiving, respectively, Jeremy and Alex. And if you liked last year's Christmas episode where we went to World War I, well, I went to another World War this year. And since there's only 2 of them, you can guess which one. So please be sure to tune in for that and give it a listen, and, get the spirit of Christmas going on Christmas Eve. Get that whole warm and fuzzy feeling going inside before you go and deal with the commercialism of giving people stuff that you wouldn't spend way too much money on, that they probably didn't like as much as you wanted them to. But hey, you get to have really good food.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. All right, John. Well, we do appreciate you coming on Men Behind the Curtain, being a guest, and of course, all the great work that you're doing with the Carolina Storyteller and the Valmont series. So, again,
I appreciate you guys for having me.
Hey, you're welcome.
Really, thank you so much. I really got to do a catastrophe today, so my day is like I'm winning.
All right.
Hey, yeah, like I said to Jackie, Edel, and Chris last week, door is always open.
Well, just let me know if I've got free time. I'll be happy to pop in and give you my opinions on all kinds of crazy things, and take time out to call J.K. Rowling a cunt.
All right, I appreciate that one. All right, everybody. Well,
You're welcome.
Thank you for joining us on this episode of Men Behind the Curtain. We will see you in 1 week.
Yep. As always, thank you for listening and or watching. Feel free to like, share, comment, subscribe. Subscribing doesn't cost anything, but it does help us out. But as always, thank you for watching. Thank you to Jonathan for participating with us today. And y'all have a good one.
If you don't subscribe, I'm going to go find some of these ghost buddies I know about and send them to your house.
And there's some in Ohio that can make it quickly.
Yeah.
Take care, everybody.
All righty.
Later.